In this video, I'll share the one fundamental principle that successful sales and business people, including companies like Apple, understand that allows them to find and close more sales, enjoy the practice of selling, while making it easy to create goodwill and long-lasting relationships. I'll explain this concept and give you 3 concrete examples on how you can apply it to your own business and sales process. If you're new to this channel, my name is Joe Guevara, and I've helped hundreds of businesses with strategies and technologies that deliver revenue growth, increased efficiencies, and better customer and employee experiences. This is Rehash Digital, and if you're a small business owner or entrepreneur, this channel's for you. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, chances are you probably know that sometimes deep down that you're actually a salesperson. From existing clients, your vendors, and your customers, you need to sell in some way, shape, or form. If you've ever picked up a popular sales book, and some of the most common ones and useful titles out there include Gap Selling by Keenan, Spin Selling, and even the Challenger Sale, all of these allude to a single concept. As a career professional, I've read these books and I've had to coach people based on their concepts. The problem is that I found it very hard for myself, and especially the people I coach to, that actually understand the core principles behind them, because they tend to be very tactical and process oriented, which makes it easy to use, but it makes it very difficult to adapt them to different industries, to different products, and even individual sales styles. Recently, I came across a video by a gentleman named Alex Hormozi titled "The Best Sales Training on the Internet." And keep in mind, it's about an hour and a half long, but I've probably watched it about 4 times at this point. I'll leave a link in the description in the comments below, so you can take a look at it yourself. What I really like about the video is that he goes through fundamental concepts and principles instead of processes on how to approach sales. And it borrows from a lot of human psychology from thought leaders like Robert Cialdini, who, if you haven't heard of him, he's the godfather of persuasion science today. But the one big principle that really made things click for me as a sales professional and now as a business owner is the idea of a value-driven sale. So let me explain. If you think about a sales or a business, they're both about problem solving. Think about it. Any business exists because they're solving a problem that they're able to monetize. If you're bored, go watch Netflix. If you're hungry, you go to a restaurant. If you're missing a piece for your motorcycle, then you go to a parts store. Sales and marketing then, by extension, is simply the mouthpiece of making people aware, if you're doing inbound, or directly trying to find the people, if you're doing outbound, who have the problem that the business is trying to solve. So, how does this relate to a value-driven sale? Well, first try to think about what a bad sale looks like. Many people would, off the top of their head, think of a car salesman. But think about why people don't like them. The stereotype is that they're manipulative. They're in it for themselves. They're only looking for that commission check, and they don't actually care about their customers. Ultimately, they don't provide value to their customers. Now, let's look at what a good sale looks like. And this usually comes from the service or tech industries where there's high stakes, high margins, and ultimately a lot more resources to train and do this research. Good salespeople are thought of as subject matter experts. They're the ones you reach out to about insights, not just about your product, but also about the industry, because essentially they're interviewing thought leaders and industry leaders for a living. The salesperson then closes deals by clearly understanding what problems they're able to solve with their solution compared to your competitors, or more commonly, compared to not doing anything at all, which is relying on the status quo. You've probably heard of the saying, people buy from people they like. And if you're not shady and selling based on the value you can provide to your customers, the likelihood of someone choosing your solution, even compared to a better solution with your competitors, technically speaking, who has a sales or marketing process that's very inward driven, they'll choose your solution hand over fist every single time. So look at your business or sales process, and if you don't have an easy answer to what are the biggest problems that I can solve for my customers off the top of your head, then pause this video, take out a notebook, jot down the list of answers for this question, and this one exercise by itself, guaranteed, will transform how you do sales and how you run your business. So to really press the point home, I'll give you some actions to take to make it extremely relevant for your process or business. Let's take a look at 3 key parts of the business based on the customer's buying journey and see what you can do to get more sales. So first up, your business strategy and your product. So as I mentioned before, take a look at that list that I asked you to write down about your business. What are the biggest problems that your product or service offers? And if you haven't done this, do it now. Now, once you have this list, rank them based on how big of an impact you think solving those problems would have. In the tech world, This is the core of how we would develop a business case or an ROI, or a return on investment, to justify not just how making a switch would make sense, but also the price tag that you're associating with your product. If you can't think of any, your absolute best resource is your client base. Look at your testimonials, look at your case studies, and if you don't have those, pick up the phone and talk to your clients. Ask them, what was the biggest benefit that they got from going with you? Why did they go with you in the first place? And reverse engineer that into what problem are you actually solving for. The outcome is that by doing this, you're now able to clearly understand what part of your product and service you need to be shouting off from the rooftops. And most importantly, where you're pointing your usually limited resources when it comes to sales and marketing, which is actually your next point. So number 2, prospecting and marketing. It's only with this kind of philosophy that you can easily adapt and adjust your sales and marketing process, including your scripts. This concept, when put into practice, is actually naturally molding and shaping not just your scripts, but also your salespeople. With a value-driven mindset, the key principle that as an owner or a business leader, you need to embrace is that if there is no problem, there is no sale. Your coaching then gets laser focused on how to research, how do you find the right prospects, how do you communicate effectively with them, and how do you look at a massive market and find exactly where those problems are applicable. From a sales perspective, this removes much of the mental barriers that sales reps tend to go through when trying to sell, because you're giving them conviction. You're giving them conviction that they're doing something good for your prospects. By adopting this mindset, the impact is that everything you do changes. It makes it easier to cold call because you're no longer just interrupting somebody's day, you're asking them to see how you can help. The tone of your voice changes, which tends to be a very big impact but very difficult to coach. Instead of sounding desperate or shady or a little bit unconfident, because you're going into it with, I have nothing to lose, I'm just here to help you out. You make it very easy to have a very casual conversation. You're very informational, and because of that, you easily figure out what kind of questions to ask and what to say. And this applies to even the activities you pursue, including your entire sales and territory strategies. So what can you do? Ask yourself, how much of your marketing content today and your copy talks about impacts and outcomes instead of half-baked value propositions, features prospects don't necessarily care about, or even benefits that aren't aligned to a specific outcome? So what can you do? Well, first ask yourself, how much of your existing marketing and sales content talks about impacts and outcomes instead of half-baked value propositions, features prospects don't actually care about, or even benefits that aren't aligned to specific outcomes? Now, there is nuance between a benefit and an outcome or impact. To take an Apple example, benefits, as some people would use them, tend to be, this device has 8 gigabytes of storage, which is 50% more than the leading competitor. Now, the outcome or impact-centric messaging instead is, this is a device that can fit 1,000 songs in your pocket. You already know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when the iPod first launched. And the problem it alluded to was that MP3 players back in that day were bulky and didn't hold very many songs. This one outcome of being able to hold 1,000 songs in your pocket demonstrates multiple benefits simultaneously. So as a takeaway, reform all of your content to outcome and problem-centric value statements and test it out in your salespeople and prospects. If you're selling, record your calls across your call center and sales team. See how they're talking about your product and see how it's being received by your prospects. If you don't have the ability to record, I'll share some interesting technologies below that you can easily implement in the description. Lastly, I do want to mention that if you are reforming your sales process or thinking about doing some sort of automation for your sales team, check out a platform called Replyio. They're an amazing sales sequencing platform that I personally use, and they've been a game changer compared to other sequencing platforms that I've used in the past, especially in business-to-business sales. There's 3 things that really stood out to me that made this significantly better than other solutions I've used in the past, including the ones built into CRMs or even standalone ones like SalesLoft. Of course, they have the standard CRM integrations and other capabilities that you would expect with most other sales sequencing platforms, but there's really 3 things that stood out to me as differentiators when it comes to using Reply. First is their deep LinkedIn integration. They allow you to integrate LinkedIn contacts as well as your own personal LinkedIn profile, so you can automate LinkedIn connection requests, Sales Navigator in-mails, and automatically log those activities into your CRM, so you don't have to waste time in actually tracking all of this activity. This feature by itself was a big time saver when it comes to productivity for my sales teams. The second big problem that they solve for is deliverability. As you can probably attest yourself, you probably know the spam filters are getting smarter and people are getting more annoyed with less relevant emails when it comes to cold emails, if they ever see them at all. Replyio solves this by providing you tools across your outreach, which includes contact validation, email warm-up, which improves your domain reputation, and managing your sending schedule so that you can significantly reduce the risk of your domain getting blacklisted or your emails getting sent to spam. Lastly, a big part of deliverability and also conversion rates with your sales emails is your content. Having had to create and coach reps to write thousands of emails across my career, this is a big problem that both sales leaders and sales reps face on a daily basis. Replyio solves this by integrating ChatGPT with a model called JSON AI that'll help you guide your writing, or even write some for you, so you can have strong subject lines that convert and content that'll engage your prospects. I'll post a link in the description below so that you can try them out and book a no obligation demo with them, check out their features, and chances are it could help solve a lot of your sales processes today. And you can even message me if you have any questions in the comments below. Every sales professional so far that I've talked to about it and shown it has absolutely loved it. So you've engaged your market and they know what problems you're going to solve. So finally, let's take a look at how it impacts closing. This applies to both consumer marketing and business sales, just in very different ways. In consumer marketing, you're typically leaving it to the customer to make that decision just through the content that you have on your website. So it's based on what your website is saying the calls to action or CTAs that you've set up would be to make them book an appointment or to give you a call or simply to take out their credit card and buy whatever product or service you're selling. In business, this is a bit of a longer process, but from your initial discovery call, depending on the complexity of your solution, you may end up having a technical demo and then you'll have a business demo and potentially more than that. But regardless of the stage or industry you're in, and to showcase the power of actually how flexible this type of principles-based concept is, the takeaway is the same. Check your content copy and CTAs, or if you're in sales, check your scripts, check how you're presenting your demos and general business presentations, and all of the flows, and validate that you're reinforcing the price you're charging relative to the outcome and not the features of your product or service. This is the same concept that's in all of those sales training books. Do not base your price on how much it costs you to build a product or service, because your prospects don't give a shit. It's your responsibility as a business owner or as a sales leader to create a compelling product or service that solves a problem worth solving. If you can't find a problem that you're solving, then your product probably isn't worth that much. Now, the biggest benefit of this, in my opinion, is that it actually allows you to make sure that you're not leaving money on the table. So as much as it validates the downside, it also validates the upside. If you understand that, hey, this is a really big problem that we can solve, that's your justification to increase your price. And long term, you can build your product strategically through this North Star by focusing on only building the features that have the highest impact to your customers and to your market. So hopefully this helps, and I want to summarize this video off with a quote that drives the point home. And again, this is borrowed from that video and paraphrased by Alex Hormozy. Selling is a transfer of belief over a bridge of trust. Therefore, you must have belief or conviction to transfer. And you can only build trust if you truly want to help. So thank you for watching this video. If you like content like this, feel free to like and subscribe. If you found this helpful, please do share it and hopefully help some other folks. It helps us to continue to deliver more content like this. Also, if you have a small business, I have a book that I'm pre-publishing right now, absolutely free, called Tech-Driven Growth for Small Business. It's about 5 key concepts and technologies small businesses need to invest in that actually drive increases in revenue, plus give more time back in your day as a small business owner with efficiencies, and significantly improves your customer and employee experiences, which is what we're all about here at Rehash Digital. It would be greatly appreciated if you downloaded it, took a look, and gave us your candid feedback on what you think. Otherwise, this is Joe Guevara with Rehash Digital, signing out. See you in the next one.